When I hear some candidates saying we should carpet bomb innocent civilians, that is not a productive approach to defeating terrorism. When I hear people suggesting that we should ban all Muslims from entering the country, that is not a good approach.
President Obama on Fox News Sunday taking issue with comments made by a couple of GOP presidential hopefuls. Meantime, that new AP poll claims that President Obama is seeing a major boost in his approval rating. I got trouble with this poll. Remember, it's just adults. It's not voters. At any rate, here's what these adults say. For the first time since 2013, the president's approval rating is back at 50%. In addition to that, those adults surveyed gave him a higher rating than any of the candidates currently running for president, Republican or Democrat. That brings a big smile to the face of at least one of our panelists. Joining us via Skype, first of all, we welcome the chairman of the Great America PAC, Amy Kremer. She's the former chairman of the Tea Party Express. She's not smiling about that survey, but the guy who is, Skypes in from New York City. He is the senior political contributor for Forbes.com, Rick Ungar, who's also the co-host of Steele Ungar on Sirius XM POTUS channel. Welcome to you both. Rick, we'll get to your smile in just a second. Amy, I see this poll from the AP, and I've heard a few of the guys running the AP, and when you get, quote, adults, what does this really have to do with the price of tea in China when you're talking about an upcoming political campaign?
Well, look, everybody is focused on the upcoming political campaign, and it's really easy for your numbers to climb when you're not doing anything. And he's a lame duck, and he's not really doing anything. We saw how well his choice of Garland to the Supreme Court went over during the recess. I mean, how much money did they spend to try to pressure the GOP to cave, and the GOP didn't cave, and I certainly hope they don't. But, you know, he stays out on the campaign trail. He was out in California not too long ago at another fundraiser. That's the one thing he does really well is campaign. And, of course, his poll numbers are going to climb then. It doesn't surprise me one bit. But I think really what everybody's focused on is presidential politics and the campaign coming up in 2016.
So, Rick, the reason for that big grin on your face, we're not like Obama haters, but I am somewhat mystified by this climb in his approval rating.
It's not that surprising. And by the way, I'm going to make you even more upset, JD. You're right that the poll out today is adults, but the last Gallup poll of just a few days ago puts him over 50 with registered voters, and there's more. Look, you know what? I think the honest answer to your question is it's comparative. I think that Americans are not crazy about any of the candidates who are running right now on either side, and I think that's making President Obama just look all the better. It could be wistful, it could be any number of things, but I think that has a lot to do with it. In addition to that, he's actually been busier than simply attending money raisers. I think the Republicans would like it if he'd stop being so busy. He's got a lot going on right now. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the country likes all of it. TPP's coming up. I'm not that crazy about that. I know a lot of people aren't. But, basically there's a feeling that the economy has finally shown some, I don't want to say strength, because I don't think any of us are entirely thrilled with it, but it has gotten better. You look at the job numbers, people are focusing on that. You look at unemployment below historical norms, and including people who are coming off the sidelines, thank God, finally looking for work. And, we find ourselves in a better place. And I guess he's getting some credit for that.
Now, it's interesting because the first thing, Amy, was almost the familiarity argument. And the late, great David Brinkley said you could put a dog on TV for 7 years and people would watch him because he's a familiar face. In this case, does familiarity not breed contempt but a kind of comfort level?
Well, I think it may be familiarity, but also knowing that he is on his way out, so there's not much more he can do. And one thing that Rick touched on is TPP. Americans they don't know what's really involved in all of that. They get the high points, the talking points that both parties have put out. And I think really what is happening with this presidential campaign, when you look at not only Donald Trump, but also Bernie Sanders, it shows that the American people are sick and tired of Washington, D.C. and fed up with politics as usual. And President Obama's been part of that, and he's on his way out. And so, there's light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And I think
didn't do much for George W. Bush, who left office with a 23% approval rating. So I'm not sure that could be the entire answer.
All right, fair enough. Listen, a minute and a half remains, and there's a news story that I'd like to get your perspective on. The comments made by CIA Director John Brennan relating to enhanced interrogation methods. Let's look and listen.
This organization will do what it can to protect the American public from the attacks from terrorist groups. I will not agree to carry out some of these tactics and techniques that I've heard bandied about.
All right, John Brennan and bureaucraties finally getting to the meat of it. No waterboarding. 20 seconds to you, Amy. Then we'll let Rick have the last word.
Well, I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be there under our next president. Right. So how many CIA directors has President Obama had? The president is the boss of the head of the CIA, and I would imagine that the CIA is going to do what the president wants them to do. And if it falls within the law, look, nobody wants torture, but we want Americans to be kept safe. And I will say this, part of our own military goes through waterboarding. You've heard Navy SEALs talk about it too.
Rick, yes or no to waterboarding?
Well, Amy's point is, by the way, absolutely right. I thought it was kind of humorous because he's not going to be there that much longer, no matter who the president is. Right. So that was kind of funny. But I got to tell you, because we're covering this on my radio show tonight, I spent the day looking into it. It's amazing how ineffective these things have been in getting information. I have no great moral objection to it. It just doesn't seem to work.
Well, wait a minute now. George Tenet said that it worked just fine getting some stuff post 9/11.
Yeah, he did. He did say it. Now go back and read the investigation done by the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is published. It's out there, and you'll be stunned by what you see. I was.
Yeah, especially since the Senate Intelligence Committee in those days was run by the Democrats. Back with more after this.